Hi there, warriors, and welcome to the Uruguay Heroes YouTube channel. And we are here after Uruguay have been beaten in Quito by Ecuador 2-1 in a game which was for me quite low on quality. There were some good moments from Ecuador. Uruguay had also some moments, but overall, Uruguay never really got into the game and got a control of the game, which is to be expected in Ecuador. But yeah, um, deservedly beaten in my opinion. Alessandro, thank you for being here. What was your take on this game?
Again, thank you for having me. And I'm very, very interesting to see what the take is going to be amongst the general community. I feel like this will be a split take. I feel like some people are going to walk away feeling a lot more positive, and other people will be feeling, not too hot on the performance, like yourself. In my opinion, I actually, and I don't know if I am too caught in the mind of comparing this to the last time we were in Quito, which was a disaster, in which where we were surviving and trying to survive for the entire 90 minutes. I didn't quite see it this way. Of course, the altitude always plays a factor, but I saw in Uruguay that didn't necessarily control the game, but in the second half they limited Ecuador, and a moment of very, very sloppy defensive moments cost them in the end. But overall, I'm not too hung up. I mean, Uruguay always loses in Quito. Uruguay hasn't won in Quito since 2009. We know that. It's very difficult to get a result away from here. Argentina and Brazil couldn't do that in the last qualifying round either. They both tied 1-1 in Quito. I honestly thought we could have tied the game today if things bounced their way a little bit. But we walk away losing, and I think there are more positives than negatives to take from this performance, considering a lot of circumstances.
Okay, yeah, no, I mentioned you. I saw you commenting on a tweet that
Mhm.
you have a little bit of a different take, and no, you're absolutely right in the case that it is hard to get a result in Quito, and that's certainly in recent history has been the case. Um, but what I felt is that the Ecuador wasn't on top gear. They weren't playing that well. So that's why I thought there were moments there that we could uh, capitulated on, and these moments didn't really arise again in the second half until the last 10-15 minutes when Uruguay had a bit more urgency about them. So it's kind of disappointing to see that we never really have been able to make them or have a sustained period of time that we got into their half and made them work. Um, that was never the case there, and that's a shame. I mean, still, we could have stolen a point at the end. Although, if we look back at it now, maybe we've been robbed of a point because for me it's clear that there's an infraction in the penalty box. But to talk about this and make this the main talking point of this stream would be pretty unfair on the game as a whole. So yeah, what I would like to dig out a little bit is the performances on the back line, because I mean in attack it's hard when you play with the Ecuador side, so really tough on you. It's hard for these players to on the counter attack to keep making these runs, because they're gassing themselves out, and then when they actually get there, it's like hard to really keep your composure and pick out the right option, which we saw a lot of the times when players were not able to do this. So if you go back to the defense, because for me that was a problem where it started, is that there were so many unforced errors in the defense, especially where Uruguay immediately got into trouble. For example, with Fina or Piqueres playing in passes which were misplaced completely or were just bad passes played into midfield, were hard to control and hard to do anything with. I mean, that was my main frustration of this game. Um, I mean, you said there were maybe more positive than negatives, but if we delve into the negatives first, what didn't you like about this game?
I'll start from the back. Goalie in the goalkeeping department, there were no issues there. Nandes played a good game. Sebastian Cáceres had a nervy start. You had mentioned this to me before the stream. He grew into the game and actually man-marked Ener Valencia pretty effectively, in my opinion. Matias Vina, I mean, we have to take into consideration he's not a natural center back. He's playing on a position, he's playing in the altitude, but he's got to do a lot better. These are fundamental mistakes I thought that he made. In particular, the one that really cost us was at the end of the first half. He's tight on his man. Don't commit a foul. You got 30 seconds left. Do the most simple thing, just kick the ball out, whatever. But the last thing you want to do, especially with 30 seconds left in the half, you're 1-0 up, is to commit a stupid foul near your goal. goal area. He does it. It costs us right away. Piqueres actually had a worse game than Matias Viña. I think those were that whole left side was a massive problem for Uruguay, even the last time we were in Quito when Matias Viña was playing on that side with Godin. And Matias Viña must have thought maybe I can get some redemption in this game today. But no, it wasn't as bad as last time, but it was bad. Piqueres was also very nervy, wasn't thinking right, a lot of misplaced passes, a lot of misplaced positioning as well, not good link up with the midfield in particular. It really forced Bielsa to come in with an early change and throw in Matias Oliveira, who I was surprised that Bielsa did it, but I think it got to a point where his performance dipped that below the standard that he had to make that change. In the midfield, I think Valverde played an okay game. He nullified Moises Caicedo as much as he could in the altitude. Ugarte played a good game as well. What we saw from Uruguay, you asked me to stay with negatives. I'll stay with negatives as well. So I'll go back up. I think a negative as well. Kike Oliveira, when he came in, wasn't too effective. I didn't see much from him as well. And I think Uruguay overall, I think they showed character, but I think they showed intention to play the ball in between the lines. But I think near the end of the game, they needed to throw things a little bit more desperately into the box, and I think that was lacking. But I think the main weakness of today's performance, I think, has to be that left center back spot with Viña and Piqueres as well. And I think also just fundamental mistakes such as that I just mentioned with Matias Viña committing a silly error before the end of the half. But the second goal, what you're falling asleep essentially with Canobio and Valverde, who are on Kendry Páez and Moises Caicedo. What are they doing giving them that much space to play a 1-2? I understand Uruguay was at fault at the end of the first half for playing a little bit too tight to the opponent, committing silly fouls, like biting too early. For example, Nandes bit too early, and that cost us a silly penalty. Someone must have told them, don't bite too early. But not biting too early doesn't mean standing off from the opponent a couple yards. There's a difference. You can stand close and tight to your opponent without committing the foul. Had they done that, Kendry Páez and Moises Caicedo wouldn't have linked up for the 1-2, or at least it would have made it more uncomfortable for them. And the second goal doesn't happen. So I think to sum up, those are some of my negatives of the game.
No, I mean, okay, certainly the second goal for me, what's the second goal? That was just really annoying to see because it was really didn't have to happen. But okay, Nicolas Hernandez Vidal with the first comment. Thanks anyone or all of you for being here, by the way, after a game which, it was a hard watch for me personally, and it also reminded me a lot of these Tabarez days with these away games where Uruguay were never able to really string a couple of passes together for most of the game. So in that sense, it's a little bit reminiscent of these days, but hopefully that will change soon. Okay, Nicolas Hernandez Vidal says, woeful defending on Uruguay's part. We need Josema and Araujo back soon. Those last 20 minutes is the kind of thing we need Suarez for. Don't understand why Darwin was taken off either, but oh well. Yeah, certainly with the last few comments, I completely agree, because you mentioned we had to be probably a bit more direct in the last 10-15 minutes. It was, and I believe so, that should have been the case as well. But it's obviously hard when you have Oliveira, Pellistri, and Torres as your front players to be direct, to go into the. And then it's when you. I mean, I didn't want to see Maxi Gomez, to be fair, but that's a player that's more suited to that type of style. But on your first comment, or your second comment, we need José Araujo back soon. Yeah, I agree, absolutely. But although that is the case, we could have still had a better defense today, better central defensive partnership today, without these two, without José Araujo. Because even on the bench, Mendes and Bueno are better defenders for me. We could have even gone with Boselli and Facundo Gonzalez, for example. I'm just throwing something out there, because that is something which, first of all, has more promise and is more situated to the future, which Bielsa is all about, obviously. But also in current level, Matias Viña should not be in the national team, let alone to be a starting player at center back. I mean, when Viña came through when he was at Palmeiras, he did well. He really did well when he started. And I remember 2021 Copa America, he and Nandes were probably two of the only ones who could have held their head up high after that tournament, because they did well. But it's 2023 now, and Viña has been in Europe for, I think it's his third season, and he's never been able to be a consistent performer for any team he's played for. For Roma, he didn't. For Bournemouth, he scored some goals, but he wasn't a consistent starter in the team. And now he's just at Sassuolo, and he's still in the national team. Well, this is not. This is just ridiculous for me. So that's just annoying to see. And so yeah, that's although Araujo and Jose obviously need to be there. We still have defenders who are more than capable of filling in that void, like Coates, for example, who are not being utilized at the moment, and that's frustrating for me to see.
I'll maybe push back a little bit on the defense comment, and just maybe because I actually thought Sebastian Cáceres, like I said before, was suited to play against Ener Valencia. They both play in Mexico. He knows them very well. I think he did a really good job. Where you're bang on right is what you said about Matias Viña. I mean, we had any other center back in the squad, or including those who were not called up to the team, could have done a better job than Matias Viña today. I worry about Coates a little bit, especially with speed and the altitude. I don't know if it was a neutral venue. I think Coates would be more than fine. But with the point on Sebastian Cáceres, I think today he kind of showed us why he's merits maybe perhaps being in the radar of the national team. But yeah.
No, I echo these thoughts. Certainly, when Caceres, he did well today, and for me, based on today's game, Caceres did well. But the overall picture, I still believe we have better options. But today, yeah, I mean, he did quite well. I mean, and Valencia didn't get a sniff actually, or that's not completely right, but he was nullified quite well, like you said earlier. So and that's quite something, because Ener Valencia is probably one of the best strikers in international football in South America. So yeah, okay. Cafecito Group Gaming, you're here only for the polemica. Bielsa was out of his mind thinking Kiko Oliveira was an answer away from home. Also hoping the Finkeres experiment is over. Next month, Castan Alvarez, Araujo, Boselli, and Nandes. Yeah, I think Alessandro and myself also hope that this experiment is over. For me, although Piqueras did well in the first game, it's kind of odd because there's no reason to keep Oliveira out of the team, or to exclude him all of a sudden, because he was, I mean, since Alonso took over, Oliveira came into the left back spot, and all the question marks were just completely gone, because he was the man. He is the man. I mean, he's playing for the Italian champions. Piqueras did well, but we have to realize, at Chile at home, Chile is not in a good moment, obviously, and Uruguay were able to kind of have their way with Chile. And then as an attacking left back in a Bielsa system, it's quite nice to play. And he's also a good player, don't get me wrong. But today, he was not on it. He was completely out of his depth, it seemed. Yeah.
Yeah, I do hope we see less of Viña and Piqueres, but I disagree with a large part of the community that I think the answer is just chucking in one of the under 20 defenders and having that be the solution. I understand what the under 20 victory is. I understand how symbolic it is for Uruguay, but at the end of the day, you have to judge it for what it was. It was a youth tournament, right? If you're chucking in a Boselli to a game like this, you're up against a seasoned veteran like Ener Valencia, players who are playing in the top leagues in Europe. That alone is a completely different ball game than walking out of the Uruguay League or walking out of the under 20 World Cup. They will have their moment in the national team. I do believe that, but I just, in my opinion, just think of it more as more of a gradual integration than it is just plug them in because they won the under 20 World Cup. I don't necessarily think that's the solution. Kiko Oliveira, what I will say really quickly on that one I'm torn. I see, and there were rumors about it before the game. We had heard that in practice Bielsa was experimenting with. I think Bielsa really wanted to actually start Kiko Oliveira. I actually think maybe starting Kiko Oliveira, having Darwin come on for the second 45, rested and just like a bull, because you assume at that point potentially there's a good chance you're down a goal, you need a goal. Yeah. And so you're much better with Darwin Núñez, who has speed and height. Two things that are definitely a lot that have more to offer than Kiko Oliveira. Kiko Oliveira is only speed. So I actually would have preferred if Kiko Oliveira started the first 45, if that was the intention, and then have Darwin Núñez coming for the second 45, fresher and ready to go. And at the end, when we're chucking in long balls, we have Darwin Núñez, who's much more effective at dealing with that than Kiko Oliveira. I get the thinking behind it. I don't disagree with it. But I just think it's almost backwards. If you were going to do it, you should have started him and then brought in Darwin. But maybe there was pressure because that could have caused a lot of controversy as well. Don't think Bielsa's one for that, though. I think he was legitimately torn on it. But the reason I kind of let this go for Bielsa, especially because it's this recency thing for coaches, right? I don't know their style with this team entirely. I'm willing to let things like this go in the beginning, in the first few games. Okay, fine. But then if, you know, roll of the dice, you can roll the dice once, you miss. As a new coach, that's fine. You roll the dice 2, 3, 4 times in a row as a new coach, and each of those times you're rolling it the wrong way, then I start to ask questions. That's my view of it.
No, that's fair. Absolutely. I mean, all the things I say right now, and the criticism I say is not because I believe anything should be done on
Mm-hmm.
Bielsa or something. So, no, we should absolutely have that patience. The thing with Oliveira is I feel he's been fast tracked into this team, in the national team, and I know there's a lack of wingers, Uruguayan wingers, currently performing and also playing regularly. I think in like 6 months' time, this could be a lot different. Certainly with Ocampo, for example, coming back for Cadiz, and Pelistri hopefully being, well, probably he's going to play more, obviously, with the cases of Anthony and Sancho. So, yeah, hopefully that will be the case. Because, I mean, Oliveira, all respect to him, he did well in Uruguay when he came back from Maria when it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's going to LAFC and he has had like 2 or 3 cameo appearances. That's it. So, yeah, he's been fast tracked from to be I think into the national team.
It's tough, and the more I thought in the second half as it went on, Biel and the fact he took off Darwin Nunez, I don't think any other coach would have ever even done that. No, but I almost thought like Bielsa more than any other coach. I think what makes him unique to any other coach is that he really views players as chess pawns. As soon as their utility, as soon as their characteristics no longer serve the tactical plan or the functionality of the game, boom, he just switches them off like that. And there are pros and cons to that, but that's the way I think he views it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I believe that is the case, but it's not. That doesn't have to mean he's right, because sometimes already these 2 games, I think he's made kind of odd decisions. So, yeah,
No, you're right. That's why I said it. There are pros and cons to that sort of
yeah,
way of thinking,
yeah.
right?
No, absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, maybe there will be a reason for not Darwin going out. Maybe there's an injury or something like this. We will see. Okay. After these 2 games, no more Vinha, Cáceres, Piqueres, Facu Torres, Carvalho, Kiko Oliveira, and Brian Rodriguez. I mean, certainly some of these guys in there, for me, yeah, there is not national team material. They are not national team material. For example, Carvalho. Carvalho is doing well in Grêmio for sure, but that's the same with Emiliano Martinez. I think he's an okay player, but I mean, yeah, the national team is a certain level which is not for everyone, and that's my personal opinion. Some may believe Martinez should be there or Piqueras should be there, and by the way, Piqueras for me should be there as well. But
I
some
agree.
players who currently were in the squad are not really the servant of a call up, and yeah, so we have to wait and find out how the next squad will shape up. Certainly, when hopefully everybody is fit. But for Bielsa, it's still a little bit of finding his best squad, finding his best players. Because although he sees a lot, while watching games, he probably wants to train with them to get a good feel of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. Yeah. And Ajay Gulsar, to be fair, Valencia didn't miss a penalty. 3-1 scoreline could also have happened today. It's true. Yeah. No, it's true. Although I think 2-1 probably was a good reflection, because although Ecuador were a better team, they did not create a lot.
It's I heard commentators on this I watched it off an Ecuadorian channel. That's all I could sort of see. But and funny enough, they didn't even mention the penalty controversy at the end of the game, which was ridiculous. I at least deserved at least a mention, no matter who was commentating the game. Anyways, I push back against people who say, "Oh, it could have been 3-1 because the penalty missed." No, it's very hard to determine that, because when the penalty is being taken, it's 1-1. If it's 2-1, Ecuador will probably retrench the same way they would have after they got the second goal. Anyways, it's not like you're adding on a tally. It's very hard to make those sort of claims, but it could have been 3-1, yes, but I still believe even if the penalty went in, the second goal doesn't happen, and then I think Ecuador still retrenched the same way they did.
Okay, Invicta says such a defensive Bielsa side versus Chile was a whole completely different game, and on top of that, no Coates. Yeah, I mean, I mean, the performance, we should not take nothing away from the performance against Chile. Absolutely not, because we have been there many times in at home games, and yeah, we have won, but it wasn't as attractive a football game as it was against Chile last week. Um, but yeah, it does kind of yeah, how do you say? It does kind of give give a good balanced. How do you say? I'm not sure how to say, but
Mm.
it does give another side of how where we are this game against Ecuador, because it's not all rosy, obviously, and there's still a lot of work to go into.
I'm fine with that. There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with that. Sometimes teams who with a new manager as well, and you see this a lot in the Premier League, where they'll win the first 5 games, 6 games, they peak too early, and then things just absolutely collapse. It's a
Ecuador,
process. Everything's a
Ecuador has done it
process.
before. Well,
So
Ecuador has done it before for sure. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, there you go.
no, no, it's true for sure. And yeah, the Ecuador game obviously is one of I think four really hard games now. So will be interesting how Uruguay will come out of that. But yeah, there is a possibility that Uruguay beat Chile and then go into the next 4 games and pick up maybe a point, and that's it. That's really something that's really possible. Looking at the games, I think it's Brazil, it's Argentina, and Colombia at
It's
home, right?
Colombia away,
Oh,
Brazil at home,
okay.
Argentina at home, and then I can't remember after that.
Okay, no, so that's tough. That's really tough for sure. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to hear the excuse that Araujo and Jimenez aren't available. Bielsa did not play the best center back available, like Bueno, and didn't call up Gaston Alvarez or Coates. Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit before, and that's really true. I think we both agree with that. Yeah, yeah. It's I mean, let's see how this develops. Bielsa's preferences in center back, because I mean, I had some arguments on Twitter as well, like. Bielsa obviously wants a center back who is mobile, who can play with space behind his back. And I know Coates is not the quickest, but he's not that slow as well, you know. And he also plays with Sporting a lot of games uh, with 60-70% possession in the Portuguese league, with a lot of space behind him, and he's still one of the best defenders in Portugal for the last 5 years. So we should not be go overboard with these kind of player profiles, and just really be fair or narrow in the kind of player we would like to see in that profile. And hopefully that's not going to be the case for Bielsa, but perhaps it will be, and then this might be problematic, or might become problematic. Yeah. I've never seen a defender so shit in my life. Did Vinia win any 50-50? I mean,
I
uh,
think I think the 150-50 he won when he won the ball. It was a missed call by the referee. He called a foul and they gave him a yellow card. Other
yeah.
than that, I didn't see much.
No, but the thing is, I mean, I know he played center back back in the day, but he doesn't look like a center back in the way he plays football. I mean, he can be good at the ball. He can be, you know, he's some games when he's quite crisp with his passing. Today wasn't one of those games, but he is so unimposing as a defender. You know, he is also quite rash when it comes to tackling. So he's not a center back. He
For
just
me, it's the marking from the crossing that's one of his weakest points.
also,
I mean,
yeah,
this the second goal. It's never happening with Jimenez or Araujo in there.
no, never, man.
Turn your back in front of the striker, make yourself big, knock the ball out of there. He was like bullied out of position in the second goal.
No, that's true. I mean, yeah, that's a good point you raise as well, because that this marking is he was late to a lot of things today.
And late as well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Says we was great versus Chile. Don't forget. Also, it was always difficult. It's always difficult to play in Quito against a much improved Ecuador team. True, true. But having said, having read that, and I do agree with it, Ecuador today weren't that great. We also have to mention that, you know, it's not like we played against Ecuador side that ran riot in 2020, you know, when we were beaten 4-2, which we probably should have been 4-0 because we got to quite well charitable penalties. So yeah, it is true that there's always
4-1. There was that. Remember that goal that Nandes scored or Scavani? Remember in the beginning there was an offside polemica,
Oh, I
and
don't
it,
remember
and it
anymore.
wasn't really offside. I remember thinking that should have been a goal.
your memory is next level, man. Honestly. Okay, Invictus is even given Bozelli a shot would have been fine, but Viña and Cáceres, yeah. No, I think we most people on in here do agree with the center back pairing being below par. Yeah, Felix Sanchez is a good coach. The Ecuador manager. Um, yeah, I mean, I know he managed Qatar at the World Cup. Other than that, I don't know a whole lot about him, but let's hope so for Ecuador. I mean, they did, the last guy, Gustavo Alvaro, I think was his
Yes,
name, right?
yeah, that's
He
right.
did, he did quite well, and I mean, I like Ecuador as a national team. I think it's one of the teams I have enjoyed watching the last few years. So if it's not at the expense of us, hopefully they do well and qualify for the World Cup. Yeah,
Ecuador is entering a golden period for their football program, in my
because
opinion. I
yeah,
mean, Moises Caicedo, but Kendry Pais.
yeah. I just wanted to say, yeah, he didn't look out of place a bit.
My
I mean,
God,
he was really
Ecuador have a team for the next 10 years. I mean, we have the youngest team in the qualification on average. Ecuador just behind us in that statistic. But the way Felix Sanchez sets up Ecuador the way he set them up against Argentina was very tactically smart, the same way it was today. He's taken a bit less of Ecuador have a bit less sting on them in the counterattack, but they're much more defensively solid under Felix Sanchez, which is an early observation that I've made.
okay. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting appointment. I think I remember a Dutchman being manager for a small period, a brief period. Jordi Cruyff, it was, I think, like 3 4
Really?
years ago. But I didn't probably he didn't even manage a game, if I recall correctly, because there was some
Oh
stuff
wow.
going on, I don't know, but yeah. So it's interesting, a European manager in for Ecuador.
Yes,
Uh,
you're right. Yeah, yeah. Jordi Cruyff without taking charge of the team. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so yeah, no,
Right.
but it's not a lot that happens. European manager in South
Mhm.
America football, right? I mean, it doesn't happen a lot. So yeah.
No, no, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Okay, so Bielsa picked players based on their games at altitude. To bring in Kike and not bring a player of Luciano Rodriguez character, the Sudamericana was in Ecuador. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I do get what you're saying, by the way, but to make a case for Luciano at the moment is not. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I disagree,
there's
yeah,
more
with the
deserving,
comment.
but I also don't agree. I think don't agree. Luciano is the right man to get in there, but I also don't believe Kike should be in there. So I'm kind of like, what? How do I feel about this comment? But because Cáceres obviously played, Araujo played, which are two of the players that play at altitude in their games, so that made sense. And Araujo, by the way, was probably one of the only players that did well today and were consistent as well, because throughout the first half, for example, there were some good moments with certain players. De La Cruz had some moments, but there were also some heavy touches, some poor passes, and Araujo was the most consistent. But yeah, the altitude thing, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how Bielsa looked at this, because if he really went with the altitude element, then he probably could have called up some others as well to be in the side. But the interesting thing, by the way, is that they traveled to Guayaquil in the morning, and then they traveled to Quito like 4 or 5 hours before the game. So and obviously Guayaquil is like at sea level, and Quito is at almost 3,000 meters.
I read about that earlier. I wasn't sure whether there's a science behind that to limit the
Yeah,
impact of the altitude. I don't know. I don't know.
no, me neither. I mean, it seemed odd for me, because you would probably assume that it's the best thing is to like adapt, like go to it one day before, maybe 2 days before, and then adapt.
Hmm.
But yeah, Uruguay did not do so. I mean, did it affect the performance? I'm not sure, because Uruguay have had way lesser performances in Ecuador than today, even though it
Yeah,
wasn't great.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah. Okay, Timber Time says Uruguay needed some experienced players for this match. But yes, I did not call up the experienced players. Um, what you
Yeah,
think? Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I I would agree with this, but the fact that the face of qualification has now changed given the extra spots,
yeah,
it's fine because you can a lot of these moments are going to build character and huge development moments, especially the way Bielsa coaches for a lot of these young players. So they're going to learn a lot from this. Yes, Uruguay could have benefited from experienced players. Yes, Guates in the backline would have benefited a lot. Yes, maybe throwing on Suarez in the last 5 minutes would have helped a lot. Yes, that is true. If you would want to rely on experience a lot more if there were only 4 direct spots plus 1 repechaje, but in this case, there's 6 plus 1 repechaje. You have a lot more wiggle room this time around, so I can see why we're going full blown with this sort of recambio. But yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. But I would have maybe liked to see at least 1 or 2 experienced players, maybe off the bench.
No, that's what I feel as well. Yeah. I don't think it would have been. I don't think Suarez starting today or whatever, or that would have made no difference because it probably would have been worse as well. But yeah, in the squad, yeah, it has its benefits. Okay, so by the way, so Argentina beating Bolivia away from home. That's a good result for them. Venezuela just beat Paraguay.
Wow.
That's a big win for Venezuela.
Wow.
So, and Chile, Colombia, and Peru were still coming up. So Uruguay currently on 3 points, obviously, which could be overtaken by Colombia if they win their game. But other than that, yeah, there's no team that can. Or Peru as well. Peru can also overtake Uruguay.
Yeah.
But okay, that doesn't really matter now. The table stands 1 win, 1 loss. It's okay. It's
well,
okay.
Chile. I guess Chile could also overtake Uruguay if they win by more than 3.
That's true. Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully that doesn't happen. So hopefully they get absolutely stuffed by Colombia.
I hope so too.
Okay, Jordan Freita says Facu literally got murdered. No VAR law. Yeah, that was really odd.
Yeah, I looked at the replay. I at first the game ended and I thought I'm really hot-headed. I'm definitely only seeing this as a penalty. Yeah. I waited 5 minutes. I went to the kitchen, grabbed a glass of water, talked to my dad, whatever. Then I went on Twitter and I searched it up. I saw it. I said, that's a penalty for sure. 100% penalty. The only way that I cannot see this being a penalty is if it was Facundo Torres, right?
Yeah.
If he was offside.
Yeah.
Now, not only being offside doesn't mean it's whether he makes an attempt to play the ball. I think the way the law is that if you're in an offside position moving towards the ball, and the foul happens before playing or attempting to play the ball, then you call the penalty. But if it's not the case, then you don't call the penalty. But the fact they didn't even review it with VAR, it's just
and your comments they carry some weight, obviously, because you are still a referee. Huh?
Yeah, I'm a referee. Yes, that's true. Yeah, the official designated referee expert of the panel.
No, what I mean. It looked like it was so weird because first I thought, well, probably nothing going on here right now. Uruguay just trying to get a pen, and I was not really on it because my spirit was low because of the performance. But then I saw the replay, and I mean the goalkeeper did not touch the ball, and Facundo Torres had it on his body, but I mean like a millisecond afterwards, he did almost get decapitated, and the thing is, the referees they wanted to make it seem as if it was just over and nothing to look at, because it probably would have been a VAR check for 3-4 minutes in Ecuador, and it would be quite a hostile situation. But it was a penalty. I mean,
looking at it in itself, it is definitely a penalty. But the question for me is whether he's offside or not. If he attempts to play it before he's offside, that's the only contention. I haven't seen that replay.
No, me neither.
When I'm looking back at it and thinking about it in my memory, I think he was offside. But it doesn't matter if he's offside or not. It depends whether he makes an attempt for the ball before. So that's the question.
Yeah. Okay. Bielsa looked like he was losing his mind on the sideline. Yeah, but I think that's the way he always is, to be honest.
We've seen nothing yet.
No. So yeah, I mean, we are obviously we are used to really serenity on the sideline when it comes to Tavares. Alonso was obviously, he always stood up and was kind of
serenity. Tavares couldn't even get up.
No, that's true. To be honest, yeah. Okay, the goalie damn near decapitated Torres in the end. Definitely deserved a VAR look. Yeah, true. Yeah, I believe so as well. Let's hope it was offside, because otherwise it would have been really a robbery. Yeah. people need to stop overrating the under 20s. Facu Gonzalez never played first team football, and Maturo don't even play in Italy. I mean, although that is true at the moment, they are still. I mean, Facu Gonzalez and Maturo is gonna play football this season. Are gonna play football this season. And Maturo is just recovering from injury, and Gonzalez just came into a new side. So I don't think we're overrating them. I think we're rating them based on the performances they have had, and based on that, there's reason to believe that they are better at the moment, that they are better than what we currently saw this game. And certainly when it comes to Vinia, I'm pretty sure about that. As if they come in, yeah, probably they will make mistakes. They will not be perfect, but I'd rather take a hit on them and get them in than player like Vinia, who's been there for 4 or 5 years and who has done well in certain games, but overall, for me at the moment, doesn't have the quality to be a Uruguay international. So yeah. Okay, I don't remember seeing Nunez gasping for air after competing in sprint. Maybe he just
Yeah,
felt it.
that image just returned to my head.
No, could be true. I mean, we don't know. That's why we probably should wait, obviously, before making certain comments about Nunez being subbed off and Oliveira coming on. So yeah, I think that's a good comment. And so that's yeah. Okay, Gabi says as good as Ugarte is, his biggest strength is off the ball. He ain't the best on the ball, and that forced Ferre to play deeper. The Bentancur is so missed. He's the only midfielder that controls games.
I think Ugarte is great on the ball. I don't. Yeah, maybe he is stronger off the ball, but to say that he ain't the best on the ball, I think is inaccurate. Fede Valverde was playing deeper, not to compensate any deficiencies from Ugarte, but to try to nullify Moises Caicedo. At least that's the way I saw the tactical setup, in my opinion. And Bentancur, the fact that the midfield's able to do this and play in between the lines a lot more than before, and without Bentancur and Darascaeta in there, gives me so much optimism for the future.
No, true. No, and I mean, the thing is, the comment, yeah, he obviously, I mean, based off the ball, he is a defensive midfielder, but he's still good on the ball. But what I do agree with is that Bentancur is probably, I mean, Valverde is brilliant, obviously we all know this, but Valverde also because he is used to this in Madrid. Valverde is a player currently who does not like 90 minutes dictates the game. He's not this type of player for Uruguay yet. And Bentancur has been that for quite some years already. So in that sense, I do get what you mean, that Bentancur is someone who gets you through these tough periods and really imposes himself on the game. Yeah, so but yeah, like Alessandro says, the midfield, the prospect of them three being in midfield is really promising, yeah.
Because each one of them complement each other. And you nailed it on the head when you said about Bentancur cooling things down. He's, for a coach, the way I view it, like tactically, he relieves the possession. He relieves the counter press by slowing things down in possession. That is so valuable and would have been much more valuable in a game like this, because you have Bentancur to relieve pressure, you have Ugarte to go battle for the ball, and you have Valverde up there pressing and driving forward. So
yeah, and that's also, I mean, with Bentancur in the side and Ugarte next to him, and then Valverde more defense. That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
You didn't even have Darascaeta hovering somewhere in the wing.
Darascaeta on the left and then Pelistri on the right and Darwin. That's probably the best at the moment. Yeah. For real. Okay, Jedi says the next games are huge. Colombia away from home and then host Brazil in Montevideo. Yeah, I mean, these are big. Absolutely. And looking forward to them, to be honest. And the brilliant thing is that's just a month away. Because obviously, I think it's September, October, and then November, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're 3 weeks away from the game.
Yeah, that's gonna be brilliant. And hopefully we actually get a result against Brazil for once. And away to Colombia, although Uruguay have had problems historically there, the last 2 games, I mean, the win, obviously, on that Tavares in 2020, and then in 2016, the game. So we've improved. So let's see.
And before that, we lost 4-0 on the way to Brazil. But then on the way to South Africa, Uruguay won 1-0 goal from a corner kick in the 2nd or 3rd minute from Iguren. So
the 4-1 game, I think we referred to it like last stream as well. That was like that was Colombia at their best as well.
Yeah, it's true.
And they're far from that at the moment also. So yeah. Okay, Underdog says what happened with Guillermo Varela. He was pretty good the last time he played for Uruguay. would have been a good player to come in as a sub rather than some of those that got called up this time.
Yeah, maybe. The way I view Varela in terms of this game, maybe the only time I think Varela would have been useful in this game is if you want to put him right back and then move Nandes further up the field or into midfield. I thought Nandes did a pretty good job at right back today.
Yeah, although he did give away that penalty, which
He
was
did, accept
great.
that.
No, I agree with you overall. He did well, but that penalty, oh man, come on. But no, the good Varela, it's a good show, but we do have to remember that he's not a regular starter at Flamengo. He's also in and out of the team sometimes. So yeah, but okay, but he's an option. Nandes, I think he's done well in the 2 games, and he's probably staying there at right back. Hopefully, Mateo Ponte can get into the team at Botafogo, and yeah, just keep growing because he's probably the best bet at the future right back for Uruguay. And he's way more technical than Nandes. He's probably a better football player, although he might be. Hopefully, he can learn some of the grit that Nandes has because he misses this a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, Leo Asker says Coates Bueno should have been the center back pairing. Would have been better, I think, as well. Yeah. And people might argue that in terms of pace, there's not a lot there. I don't really think that they would have had struggled that much in terms of the pace. I think
I don't know. No, go ahead. Finish.
No, I was no go. Please go ahead. I was just in probably 2 minds, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, on paper, yes, but just the pace and the way Bielsa wants to play a higher line, Bueno and Coates. If you're gonna make the argument for Coates to be in that back line, he needs to be paired with someone who's rapid, especially against Ecuador. And if you want to play at Bueno, then do the same thing.
No, that's a good point, to be honest. Yeah. So. No, yeah. So it probably should be paired up, maybe for something like Gaston Alvarez, although it's probably also early for him to get in. But yeah, it would have been better than what we've seen today. Colombia away with 30. Yeah, no, this is the next 3 games. Yeah, it could get ugly. It's really good. Yeah, but although even if we come out of these games with 1 point, there is a way to approach these games and to get into these games, and we can still come out of them having only 1 point and still having some kind of promises because of how we played. Because to lose these games, certainly with the current format, is not the end of the world. But Uruguay really have to improve. And I know we cannot ask too much in this small period of time, but yeah, hopefully we can see some. Yeah.
No, but you're right. But trust. We as fans need to trust this process. We brought in Bielsa. We understand what bringing in Bielsa entails. Now we need to get behind this process. I'm not more so worried about the results because of the new qualification formula. So I've looked at the performances against Chile after basically Chile's Bielsa's first game. I don't count those 2 friendlies against Cuba and Panama in June or whatever. That was completely. I mean, the level of the opponent was irrelevant. Made those games irrelevant in my opinion. And I saw fundamental changes to the way Uruguay plays in both these games, more so in the Chile game than I did in the Ecuador game. Obviously, that has to do with altitude and a more formidable opponent. But Uruguay is going to change the way they play. I've seen changes. That's already a positive. Now, if we can keep seeing this type of growth happening in games, that's great. Now, I'm more worried about the atmosphere that will come out of these results as the results, more so than the results themselves. And what I mean by that is the atmosphere created by the media and created by some of the toxicity around that. Now, if we go and let's say worst case scenario, we lose all 3, but there are things to look forward to in terms of promising performances. I don't think we're going to lose all 3. I think it ranges between 1 point and 3 points. Maybe we'll tie or win a game at most. Then I think there's stuff to look forward to there. I think especially the Uruguayan culture and the media, 2 results based, 2 results orientated, and I think that's a bit hypocritical from a culture that likes to praise Tavares and praise the proceso. If you really believe in this idea of a proceso, then make sure you put your money where your mouth is and have that idea of a proceso, not just be tied to one man only, Oscar Tavares, but also apply that to other coaches as well.
No, that's the thing. I think we talked on a lot with the stream a couple of days ago before the Chile game. Is that yeah? It's like they've gone from like being ultra conservative in the criticism when Tavares was in charge, now the other way, and it's annoying. It's really annoying. Okay. Off topic. When was the last time Uruguay beat Brazil or Argentina in an official match? I mean, Argentina is 2013 in the qualifiers. I think it was the 3-2 game at home when Argentina fielded a B team in the qualifiers as well. So, but it was the last time Uruguay beat them. And Brazil, I think it's at the start of the century, but
2001 Uruguay beat Brazil 1-0 in the Centenario in the qualifiers for the 2002 World Cup. You were right. Uruguay last time beat Argentina 3-2 at home in the Centenario. The goals were Cebolla Rodriguez and Suarez. Suarez scored a penalty. They won 3-2. Argentina did field a B team. No Messi, no Higuain, no Lavezzi. I think Argentina's goal scorers, one of them was Maxi Rodriguez. I think he scored 2 goals. Uruguay comfortably won. It was almost like a friendly, that game, pretty much. I think both teams were already qualified. But before that game, Uruguay lost Argentina many times in qualifiers. And the last time they did beat them in an official match was in 2004, 1-0 at home in the qualifying for 2006. I think the goal was scored by Recoba, I believe.
Okay, but I have to stop you there because it's not in like regular playing time, but we obviously did beat them in 2011.
Yes, we did.
Penalties,
I don't. I'm penalties. I don't.
No, I know. I get what you're saying. Obviously, yeah. No, but that's the struggle has been there for so many years now. So yeah, it would be nice to get one over Brazil or Argentina. But the time to get it was probably in the last 10 years because at the moment Argentina is stronger than they have been for a long time, and Brazil, I think as well with Diniz coming in, they look like more free flowing. Yeah. Okay. Leo, I know Maldini goes Paraguay at some point regarding European managers, South American national teams. Okay, the father of Maldini, I guess. Then, yeah. Okay, yeah. No, but yeah, but it's quite an interesting one. I mean, I probably would like to see like a article on that because yeah, it's right quite rare to see that. Federico Viñas should have been on the team instead of Kike. I think it's a good shout because I think Federico Viñas now going to Club Leon is able to reinvigorate himself over there, and he's been doing well. It's for me way too early to have him in the national team, but if you are asking me if I want Kike or Viñas, I probably would have preferred to see Viñas in the team. But yeah, I mean, both of them, I think, probably have to make some strides to be really sufficient in quality to be in the national team. Yeah, so yeah. Okay.
I think it's a repeat comment.
Yeah, this one I already had. Yeah. Okay, Gordon Freita says, I just really hope we can find someone with creativity for 2026 because that's something we have been lacking since Suarez regressed. And the next comment, maybe Dallas Gaeta can be that player if he doesn't fall off a cliff. I was immediately thinking of Dallas Gaeta when this comment came on. So, I mean, Dallas Gaeta is one. I think De La Cruz for sure is one as well. Bentancur has creativity in this game, although it's from a deeper position mostly. I think Uruguay do have creativity in the type of players we have, but under the managers they have played for, certainly with Tavares and also with Alonso in the World Cup, they were not really allowed to show this. And with Bielsa, that's going to be completely different, obviously. So I think we are going to see a lot more creative players being fielded and also a lot more quite nice attacking play. Whether it gets us to a trophy or we will have to find out, but
that's the thing. That's the concern, right? People are concerned that Bielsa isn't a trophy. His career hasn't been filled with trophies, but it's been filled with very nice play, and that's where I think this could be the perfect marriage. Maybe Uruguay historically has won trophies when they haven't played pretty. They know how to squeeze a trophy out every once in a while. Bielsa knows how to play beautifully. Those two things can maybe meet each other in the middle, and we could give Bielsa that trophy, and Bielsa could give us the beautiful play.
No, that would be brilliant. Yeah. No, it's a good point because Bielsa obviously he hasn't won a lot of trophies, but he also hasn't managed a lot of top teams. And at the moment,
Mhm.
Uruguay is not a top team when it comes to international football. But with the players coming through and also the players already being there, yeah, I mean, Uruguay got a shot to win a trophy in the upcoming 10 years. Absolutely. So, yeah. Um, Sainan, anyone knows why Darwin was taken out? That made absolutely no sense to me. Yeah, we talked about it a little earlier, and perhaps the altitude, perhaps they're an injury, perhaps it's just a tactical decision. We have to find out. But I wouldn't get too concerned about it,
Mhm.
because yeah, I mean, we also have to realize he didn't play that well. But although I wouldn't have subbed him out because of what he can bring, and Alessandro's idea that probably would have been better to start with Oliveira, for example, and then come with Nunez in the second half is probably what we should have done.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but okay, it's the way it is. Honestly, I got no excuses. We played like shit. Yeah, we didn't play well. No, no, that's right. That's right. Fina makes me believe I can still make it pro, says Facundo Gonzalez.
Is that
Yeah,
his account?
yeah, you would think so. No, no, but no, no, I mean, we have to respect Fina still, because he has had good games for Uruguay, but he's in a moment in his career when he went to Europe, he went to Roma, he didn't go according to plan, and he's now also at a new club for like in 2 or 3 weeks. He's been there 2 or 3 weeks, so he's in a tough spot. So perhaps in 2 3 years he comes back and he does well for Uruguay. But at the moment, he doesn't deserve to be there. Sinan says, yeah. Additionally, Maxi Gomez on the bench and no Suarez. What in the world? Yeah, we've been over that as well. Yeah, I mean, doesn't make sense. No, yeah. It's annoying. It's annoying. I'm gonna go through some comments now a bit faster because it's 2:30 here after midnight. So I'm
That's
gonna
the commitment.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna try to do 10 to 15 more minutes and then we cut it off. Okay, we need wingers. Besides Pelistri, Ocampo, and Maxi Rajo, we have mid wingers Brian Rodriguez and Facu Torres Canobbio are not it. Um, yeah, I mean, the thing is with them, with all the mentioned ones you've mentioned right now, although some have reached the age of 24, 23, they're also still young and there's still a lot of potential there. And Brian Rodriguez for me has still a lot of potential, even though he's not developed as we would have liked, as we would have thought probably when he arrived on the scene a couple of years back. But Uruguay are in a much healthier spot when it comes to wingers than probably have been for a long time. So we should not be too pessimistic in that regard, I think.
I
So yeah.
agree. I mean, it is the week. I mean, I said this before in another stream. The core throughout the middle of this team is so strong, and that includes the potential of players that we have going into the future. I think the more weaker point of this team are the fullbacks as opposed to the wingers. The wingers, not the best part of the team, but like you said, not the worst. But I think our concern is, I'm more pointing it towards the right back because Matias Oliveira has proved his worth in Napoli, but I don't know if he's proved his worth in Bielsa's eyes for his system, which is why maybe he didn't start today. But the fullbacks are more of a worry to me.
Yeah, the right side for sure. With you never know what's gonna happen with Nandes, obviously. So yeah, okay. Wait 1 second.
It's hard. Nandes is one court decision or one piece of evidence away from disappearing from the national team pool. So
It's a cynical way to look at it, but it's true. Yeah, it's true. So okay, Justin Pereira says Colombia 3 points, Brazil 1 point, Argentina 0 points. I mean, that will be quite good. Obviously, I mean, Argentina away as well. Away to the world champions. That will probably. I mean, I hope that will be a classic. I really
I
hope
think that game's at home.
the Argentina one.
I think it's at home. I think it's
Okay,
at
it is.
home. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, but if then obviously I would like Uruguay to get a result there, but the away game that is gonna be some game. I really hope Uruguay can give Argentina a really good game for once away in the Monumental
I
because
I would love that. I would love that. And you know what? It's actually in Argentina. I was wrong. I thought it was at home for some reason. It
okay.
is away.
Okay, but that's I mean, to go to the world champions Argentina to feel the way I like to do, and then to just give them one will be brilliant.
Yes, I do agree with that. And I think historically, and I mentioned this the other day to some of my friends, in the last 125 years, 130 years of South American football history, every time Argentina and Brazil are riding a high, have just won a World Cup, have just won a Copa America, whatever you want to say, only one team has been able to consistently come out of nowhere, burst that bubble, and bring them down to earth. It's La Celeste, it's Uruguay. I actually would rather save that result. I'd rather save that result, that moment, for Copa America. I'd rather have that be a Copa America semifinal where Uruguay, Argentina is just everything's for Argentina in the United States. Everybody's going for Argentina. Nobody thinks they're going to be stopped. And all of a sudden, it's just us standing in the way, and then we burst the bubble.
Maybe not get the result yet. Give them a little bit of taste in this game, and then get
a
the
tie.
result. Yeah. You just mentioned you now mentioned the Copa. For me, it's really weird to think that that's like 6 months away. You know.
I know.
It's I mean, obviously they've changed the scheduling when it comes to the Copa because they're gonna do it at the same year as the Euros. So every 2 years in 2024, 2026, and all this. Normally, obviously, it would have been the summer before or after the Euros. But yeah, that will be fun for sure. So and obviously the draw for group stage will be soon as well. So yeah, okay. We're gonna find out about that. Okay, that shot says Kendry Paez at 16 started with Ecuador. I don't think it's a crazy thing to call it up some under 20 players. No, it isn't. But well, no, please go ahead, Alessandro. I see you want to say something.
No, I don't know. I don't want to interrupt you. I just had sometimes I'm very expressive, so the thought comes in my mind.
That's all good.
And there's a key difference with that. Kendry Paez has consistently been playing first-team football in the first division of Ecuador for his team, week in and week out. So he's facing, top level. I think that's the key difference here.
No, that's true. That's a good point to make, to be honest. And also, Ecuador is probably a country or a national team who have kind of a smaller national pool, so these type of players can come in quicker. But he really is a really exciting talent if you looked at him today, and also take into mind what there's been told about him, because I haven't seen him once before today, and he really impressed me.
Who did see him was Piquerez when he got spun in the first 5 minutes of the game. I think he's going to be remembering that during his sleep.
No, but yeah, for sure. It was a tough game for him, for sure. Okay, Leo says, I feel like we have a full squad and on our game, we can very definitely beat Brazil. I also feel like our losses against Brazil have been bad luck. I mean, some of them have, but some of them have been just complete humiliation. I mean, remember the game? I remember I went live after the game against Brazil 2-3 years ago when we were beaten like 4-5-0, 4-1, 5-1, because Suarez scored a free kick as a consolation goal. But I mean, yeah, there have been moments of being unlucky. For example, away to Brazil in 2016, where we could have won or should have won, perhaps. But there also have been games when Uruguay have been absolutely stuffed. So yeah, hopefully Uruguay can show a different face this time around. Yeah.
Brazil's the only team since 2009, since Argentina beat Uruguay 1-0 in the 2009 qualifier. Cáceres got a red card in that game. But I don't know why I mentioned that, as if it was some sort of funny fact. But since then, Brazil's been the only team in qualifying to beat Uruguay in the Centenario. And they've done it convincingly. They've beaten us 4-0.
Yeah, Paulinho hat-trick, I remember.
Paulinho hat-trick. And we were winning that game, I remember.
Cavani with the penalty.
Yeah. But no, things have gotten ugly versus Brazil sometimes. And there are some games where we have deserved to win, like away to Brazil, for example, Suarez's comeback.
Yeah,
we tied 2-2 with a back line of Palito Pereira, Victorino, Coates, and Fusile. God knows how that held up, but yeah, no, it goes both ways with Brazil. But this is
the magic worker.
The magic worker somehow. But I do think Brazil's more vulnerable than they are in the last 5 or 6 years, because Brazil's going through this very awkward transition period where Ancelotti hasn't taken on the position yet, so they have an interim coach. So it's almost like they're just like, okay, going with it right now, and their new process hasn't really started. So there isn't really a set identity or set long-term set of identity or game plan of how they want to play. So I think right now Brazil, you could get a result from Brazil possibly if things bounce our way and we play well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, Sinan, are you guys going to address Maxi being on the bench and Suarez missing in action? Well, I mean, there's no news there because there's been a case obviously since the squad came out, and I mean Suarez is not there because Bielsa believes that there are more capable players to execute the way he wants to see his players play, and Maxi is the bench option this international break. So um, no, we weren't gonna address that because there's no news on that front. But it's annoying. Obviously, I would have preferred to see Suarez in the squad instead of Maxi. Um, but my feeling is that we will not see Suarez in the squad anymore. Um, so yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. But for Bielsa, whenever if he wins, he has the. I mean, the history is on his side, or how do you say that he is right? He is right if he keeps winning. So, but if he comes into a tough patch of results, which perhaps is going to be the case, having the upcoming games or seeing the upcoming games, he is going to have criticism, and Suarez is going to come into that criticism. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a two-way street as well. I mean Suarez hasn't helped himself at all, so
No.
it's very difficult. And that door for the national team for Suarez is being closed centimeter by centimeter as every day passes. I'm afraid, but we'll see. Time will tell. Anything can happen.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay, so last comment I'm gonna take from Jordan Freitas. I'm surprised that we haven't uh, gave the Arwa Borena a go. Fuck's sakes, they really butchered that name. Had a great season last year. Yeah, he did have a great season, and he's also probably the best goalkeeper Uruguay have currently. But that's another thing. He's not fit, doesn't fit in a profile of Bielsa as a goalkeeper. But I mean, if I when I say this, I do remember today's game obviously vividly, and see Rochette being really wasteful also in possession, and also, I mean, Bielsa wants to see his goalkeeper kind of being a sweeper keeper, playing being in front of the goal for like 20, 30 meters when Uruguay are in possession. Um, so Rochette perhaps is better in this, but for me, it's with a sour taste that he is being left at home. For me, it doesn't sit right.
I know Roget is a starting goalie. That's for sure.
Yeah,
That's fine. That's fine with me. Franco Israel, I'm fine with him in the squad. I remember we had talked in the previous stream about the argument maybe having Muslera as the third goalie to mentor the other two, blah, 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 whatever. There's that argument too, but that exists somewhere else because Muslera is also suspended. So Santiago Mele is the one who I think is debatable of the three. So
yeah,
why Santiago Mele could definitely make way for Daryl Baena, but I'm not even going to try pronouncing that name. The goalkeeper we just mentioned. I think it would be suicide if we go to a tournament, for example, and we don't call him up because he's an absolute
penalty killer. Yeah.
penalty killer. You need that. That is like a moment where we're about to come into penalties. You sub him on just for the penalties. So we'll see. We'll see how rigid Bielsa is with this sort of philosophy.
Yeah. No, we have to find out. Yeah, yeah. But I really do understand your comment, Jordan, because yeah, he was one of these players who I would have liked to see on the squad as well. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna end it on that. Thanks for everyone being here and watching the stream. Hopefully next time we will be here and be a bit more cheerful. The FIFA date, the first FIFA date under Bielsa wasn't the worst. Good performance against Chile. Well, not so good performance against Ecuador and also the loss. But overall, it's an okay start. It's not the end of the world. So yeah, Alessandro, thanks for being here once again.
Yeah, thank you for having me. No, and you nailed it. I mean, we did well against Chile for what it was, and we didn't maybe do as well against Ecuador. But I thought we played. I saw differences in the way Uruguay played. I know there were misplaced passes against Ecuador, but the reason that I think I'm a little bit more positive than most is because I saw the intention was so much different. I saw players were in position to receive a ball in more advanced positions than they were ever previously before under Tavares or Alonso, for example. It's just the execution of those things. They aren't going to happen overnight, especially with a new coach coming in. But to see those little differences being made in even little moments already after this little time has passed, I think for me, I take more positives in that. And I thought Uruguay, yes, they were very poor. I think the performance against Ecuador was characterized more so by very, very poor moments than a collective poor showing as a whole. But that's the way I sort of view it. I'm trying to be a little bit more positive, a little more optimistic this time, but we'll have a very, 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 very clear picture of how this is going to go after 2 more games.
No, that's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah. So the jury is still out on Bielsa for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
but no, but I mean, Bielsa will. I mean, we have to find out how he's gonna learn from this. That's the thing. I mean, we can speak about
exactly.
it a lot, but we just have to kind of find out how he's gonna learn from it and how Uruguay will keep improving game on game, and that will be an incremental improvement because it's gonna be tough for him to shape this team to his liking. And it's a challenge for someone who is so like he was so specific with what he wants from his team. So yeah, okay. So I want to thank you all for being here, and we will see you next month for sure. Maybe in between, we will come back with some weekend roundups. Maybe we will get together watching a game and being streaming during a game of a Uruguayan player. That will be fun as well. But you can follow me on Twitter to keep track of this if this is gonna happen, and also keep track of the the last updates on Uruguayan football, Uruguayan Heroes. You can also follow Alessandro on Fina Alessandro 1 at Twitter as well. And yeah, just keep in contact on a daily basis on the most beautiful team in the world, basically. So yeah, okay, bye bye.
Thank you. See everybody.